Hi, and welcome to today's session. I'm Gilles Brito. I'm a psychotherapist, coach, and hypnotist that lives and works in Sudbury, Ontario, Canada. And I thought I'd do a quick video today about just setting and hitting your goals for 2017. Now, the model that I decided to use today is a model that I learned when I was doing my coaching designation through strategic intervention. And it is one that's often used by Tony Robbins. And it's the rapid planning method that really looks a little bit more specifically at how do you get to the outcome that you want. So a lot of people, when looking at this model, if you look at the screen in front of you, will really think about the top right quadrant, which is actions. The belief is that if I have the appropriate actions, then I will get the outcome that I want. So people look at different diets or different strategies, different workout plans, all that kind of stuff. And then what they find is not too long after, they have minimal results. And the reason why they have minimal results is because of the other quadrants that come into action. Now, when you've had minimal results, or bad outcomes, it really starts to affect your belief system. Your belief system will really dictate and translate where you're going to go later on with regards to your success path. The beliefs are part of our subconscious mind. So as a hypnotist, it's something that I understand quite well. A lot of people, their belief is that, if I just lose some weight, I'm going to gain it back, or that I'm never going to be successful in quitting smoking, or that I'm always going to be a smoker, or that it's impossible for me to quit drinking, or it's impossible for me to be creative without drinking or the use of alcohol, or it's impossible for me to relieve my stress without some kind of medication or cannabis. So the belief system is actually the core of what this structure, how the structure rolls. Because your belief will dictate your potential. So what you see in the top right corner with regards to potential here is really dictated by your belief system. So again, just to clarify what that means, if you really believe at your core that you're not going to be successful in blank, then obviously it limits your potential. There's a great saying that I actually have on my board here in my office, which is, it's from Henry Ford. If you think you can't or think you can, you're right. So whatever you believe will help navigate your mind towards that goal. So a lot of times with my clients, when we talk about what it is that they want to go, what they want as a goal, we have to make it compelling enough. So the first step in truly attaining your goals is to look at what is the outcome that you want. So, and then it's really around being specific, because if you just keep it as a general thing, it doesn't create enough juice and enough passion for you to get to your goals. So if you say, I'd like to get healthier, well, it doesn't really have any bite, because being healthier could be having one healthy meal. Well, geez, I'm healthier, so now I guess I could stop. Or if I had a client say to me, I wish I was richer, so I give him $1. You know what I mean? Like, you really have to define specifically what it is that you want. Then the thing that goes with that too is, why is it that you want that so badly? So why will that make a difference? So that's the next component, is what's the purpose of the outcome? So if the purpose is to make $100,000, why do you want that? Well, because I want things, I want possessions, I want whatever. But the more specific you become, the more likely you are to create a compelling outcome so that you can get the results that you want. A lot of times with my clients, I ask them, if you had the goal already, what would be evidence? So in other words, if I wave my magic wand, because hypnosis is magical, and the person had the outcome that they want, what would that look like? What would that sound like? And what would it feel like if that miracle happened? So in other words, what evidence would you have that that miracle happened? So what would you see that would be different? Would you look differently in the mirror? What would you hear that would be different? Maybe it's your breath rate. Maybe it's the sound of your heart. Maybe it's the quiet or not being winded. How would you feel? Would you feel more relaxed? Would you feel more appreciative? Would you feel more grateful? So it's really kind of taking in all the components of visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and really describing in detail what is your purpose. So if your goal is to lose weight, if your goal is to gain money, if your goal is to quit smoking, whatever it may be, you have to clearly define why it is that you want that. I know for a lot of my clients, the result that they want, for example, is to quit smoking. But when I get into the conversation with them, they usually give me glib things like, I want to be healthier. Well, if that was the truth, you probably would have given it up many years ago. Because my rationale for that is I suggest to my clients, so you just found out that smoking was bad for you yesterday, right? That's why you booked the appointment with me today. Well, no, my doctor's been saying that for years. Right. So sometimes they'll say, well, maybe I'd save money. Now, did you ever have this argument? If they ever go up to $5, that's it, I quit. And then they went up to $6. And then he said, if they ever get up to $6.50, that's it, I'm done. And then it went to $7. And then they went to $8. And he said, if they ever get to $8.50, I'm done. And then they went to $8.50. They went to $9. I think they're around $11 now. So know that it doesn't have enough teeth. It has to really be for what you want. Now, some people will say it's to save money. But again, you could justify, and this is how the brain works at a subconscious level, is you could justify that if I go down from 20 cigarettes to 10 cigarettes, well, that's buying less cigarettes, so I'm saving money. And you'll use these justifiers in the brain. So if you truly want to change a behavior or eliminate a behavior like smoking, you have to figure out your purpose. Without that, it's just really wasted time. So the purpose will affect the belief. Because if it becomes a must instead of a should, I should quit smoking, I should exercise, I should eat healthier. All the shoulds don't lead to must. Must are how you're going to raise your standards. If you raise your standards, you will do the appropriate action. Now know that if you raise your standard and things become a must, what is your potential? Unlimited. What kind of actions will you think you'll take? Massive. And when you take massive action, you lead to awesome results. So again, we always start with, well, what is the outcome that you want? And then what is the purpose, or what is the whys for why you want that? Once you've had that established, finding the right strategy is actually the easiest component in this quadrant. It becomes the easiest thing. If your goal is to lose weight, there's probably 1,000 books that are written, a million websites that are written about how a certain strategy might work. So it's really discovering the underlying core beliefs and your purpose, your reason for the belief, and that's how you will be successful in 2017. I hope to join you in your journey. I'd love to hear from you if you'd leave a comment. You could also visit my website at www.gilbrito.com. And with that, thank you so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful day and good luck in 2017.